Welcome to the world of science fiction where extraordinary tales come to life. Enjoy the journey. The sterile fluorescent lights of Judicial Complex 7 buzzed overhead, casting harsh shadows across the crystalline chamber. Aiden Kai slouched in his leather jacket, a coffee cup clutched in his right hand as he checked his messages on a holographic display. Emanating from his wrist, he'd been summoned here on some bureaucratic __, probably another fine for unauthorized encryption. Protocols proceeding 2-187B will now commence, announced the AI judge, its voice resonating through the chamber with artificial gravitas. Aiden glanced up, noticing for the first time 3 women seated behind a transparent barrier. They weren't human. Their silver hair caught the light like liquid mercury, their skin tones ranging from deep sapphire blue to various shades of violet even from this distance. Their otherworldly beauty was unmistakable. A pale, thin man in ornate robes stood nearby, gnawing nervously at his thumbnail. Aiden recognized him from newscasts. Consolo, the diplomatic representative from the Shiani system. What the hell was a high-ranking alien diplomat doing at his misdemeanor hearing based on Paragraph 9.4.7 of the Interplanetary Marriage Code? In tone, the AI judge, Earth Citizen Aiden Kaz is hereby appointed as husband to Princesses Selin, Nora, and Tuan, granddaughters of Consul. Aiden's coffee cup froze halfway to his lips. What the hot liquid sloshed over the rim, burning his hand. He barely noticed the consul turned to him, his face the color of chalk. Congratulations, son-in-law. Behind the barrier, chaos erupted. The blue-kinied woman, her muscles visible even beneath her ceremonial attire, spat defiantly on the floor. The other 2, both violet-skinned though with different facial features, exchanged shocked glances. This proceeding is complete, declared the AI judge. Union registered in all systems. Cohabitation must commence within 24 hours. Aiden stood rooted to the spot as the barrier lifted. The 3 alien princesses stepped forward, their long silver hair floating around them as if underwater guards flanked them, urging them toward him. There must be some mistake, Aiden said, addressing the consul. I didn't sign up for this. The consul avoided his gaze. The algorithms have determined compatibility. The treaty is satisfied. Treaty? What treaty? The one preventing interstellar war, the consul whispered, his voice barely audible. Please just make this work. He turned and hurried away before Aiden could respond. Sir, a security drone hovered near Aiden's shoulder. Please escort your new spouses to your registered dwelling immediately. Aiden's apartment door slid open with a soft hydraulic hiss. The biometric scanner had recognized his new family status, automatically granting access to his 3 unexpected wives. This is where you live, the blue-skinned woman, Tuan, if he'd heard correctly, curled her lip in disgust. She pulled out a small device that projected a laser grid over Aiden's body, scanning him from head to toe. What are you doing? Aiden demanded. Threat assessment, 2 yen replied coldly. Low muscle density, primitive neural architecture. You will likely die quickly. She clicked her tongue, exposing teeth that seemed slightly sharper than human ones. Don't mind her, said one of the violet-skinned women, Nora, as she perched herself on his kitchen counter. She crossed her legs deliberately, the slit in her ceremonial dress revealing a thigh that glowed faintly in the dim light of his apartment. I can think of better ways to get acquainted. Aiden stepped back. Look, I don't know what's going on, but I didn't agree to marry anyone, let alone 3. He hesitated. Princesses, is that even real? Oh, it's very real, said the 3rd woman, Selin. Unlike her sisters, she hadn't moved from the entryway, her eyes silver like her hair scanned the apartment with analytical precision. As real as the encrypted neural interface you're running. Interesting that it's coded in ancient Gianni dialect. Most humans can't even pronounce our modern language, let alone master the dead variants. Aiden froze. His illegal neural enhancements were supposed to be undetectable. Lucky guess. Selin's eyes narrowed. There are no coincidences in the quantum flow. Earthman. Aiden caught his reflection in the mirrored surface of his refrigerator. For a split second he noticed the image lagging behind his movements, a glitch in his perception overlay. He mentally recalibrated, hoping none of them had noticed. Why don't we all calm down? He suggested, raising his hands placatingly. I'll make some coffee and we can sort this out. You think we want your bitter earth stimulants? Tuan scoffed. We demand transport back to our grandfather immediately. Fine by me, Aiden replied, moving to his communication terminal. Let me just. He pressed his palm to the screen, but instead of illuminating it flashed red. User not recognized. The system announced, please contact network administration. Frowning, Aiden tried again. Access denied. This terminal has been locked for security reasons. What The hell, Aiden muttered, pulling out his personal communicator. The screen displayed only one message account. Deleted network access blocked. You're disappearing from the digital matrix. Selen observed suddenly at his side. Interesting. Aiden tried the door. It wouldn't budge. He attempted to activate the food synthesizer, but it too remained dormant. His smart home system no longer recognized him as a resident. Great, Nora said, sliding off the counter. Our new husband is an outlaw. Grandfather has truly outdone himself this time. This isn't my doing, Aiden said, though he knew better. Someone powerful wanted him off the grid, and they'd used this bizarre marriage arrangement to trap him. Tuan moved to the window, peering outside. We're being watched. Surveillance drones, military grade. What did you do to anger the order of reset? Selen asked, her voice betraying genuine curiosity. Aiden's head snapped up. What the order of resets? Nora repeated, suddenly serious. The most feared enforcement agency in the quadrant. They reset problematic individuals, wipe them from existence, both digital and physical, for the first time since this ordeal began. Aiden smiled. Well, finally some peace and quiet without all those notifications. The three women stared at him with varying expressions of disbelief. You're either insane or Tuan began, but was interrupted by a high-pitched whine from outside. Get down, Aiden shouted, diving across the room to tackle Selen just as a laser bolt sizzled through the space where her head had been moments before. Nora screamed, ducking behind the counter. Tu Yen, however, pulled a small weapon from her ceremonial robes. No, Aiden commanded, his voice suddenly carrying an authority that made even Tuan hesitate. Stay inside. He moved to a decorative stand near the door and retrieved what appeared to be an antique walking stick. Since you're my wives now, I guess I'll have to protect you. Before any of them could respond, Aiden was out on the balcony. 3 combat drones hovered outside, their weapons trained on the apartment beyond them. A sniper was positioned on a neighboring rooftop, the red targeting laser visible against the twilight sky. What happened next occurred so quickly that the princesses could barely follow. Aiden moved with inhuman speed, vaulting over the balcony railing to land on the nearest drone. His cane, apparently far more than it appeared, pierced the machine's central processing unit. As it sparked and fell, he leapt to the next one, using its momentum to propel himself toward the third. Within seconds, all 3 drones lay smoking on the ground below. Aiden stood on the balcony of the adjacent building facing the sniper. The man's weapon clattered to the ground as Aiden approached him. The princesses rushed to their balcony, watching in astonishment as Aiden handled the would-be assassin with casual violence. He didn't kill the men, but the sniper's arm bent at an unnatural angle as Aiden whispered something in his ear. Finally, Aiden picked up the fallen communicator. Listen carefully, he said into it, his voice carrying clearly to the princesses. Despite the distance, tell your superiors that the next warning will come in the form of amputation. Yuttered. He tossed the communicator back to the trembling sniper and made his way back across the gap between buildings, leaping with graceful precision to land on his own balcony. The princesses stared at him in shock. Blood spattered his face and leather jacket, yet he seemed completely unfazed as he stepped back into the apartment. They noticed the t-shirt visible beneath his open jacket bore the ironic message, not a morning person. You're bleeding, Selen observed, her analytical tone failing to hide her amazement. Aiden wiped his face. Not my blood. Who are you? Tuan demanded, her earlier disdain replaced by weary respect. Just a guy who didn't ask to be married, Aiden replied, shedding his blood-stained jacket. But apparently that's the least of our problems now. Why would the order of resets want you dead? Nora asked, inching closer to examine him with newfound interest. They don't want me dead, Aiden corrected, moving to the kitchen to wash his hands. They want me erased. There's a difference, and why would they want that? Sel impressed. Aiden dried his hands on a towel, turning to face his 3 new wives. Probably the same reason your grandfather was so anxious to get rid of you. Tu Yan's hand flew to her weapon again. How dare you? Oh come on, Aiden interrupted. You think it's coincidence that the consul married off his 3 granddaughters to a random human he couldn't wait to get rid of you? That's not true, Nora protested, but her voice lacked conviction. Isn't it? Aiden challenged. Tell me, princesses, what did you do to piss off someone powerful enough to make your own grandfather sacrifice you? The 3 women exchanged glances, a silent communication passing between them. We may have offended someone, Selen admitted reluctantly, the current leader of the order. Tuan added, her jaw tight. A pathetic man with delusions of grandeur, and now we're married to a pathetic human. Nora sighed dramatically. Grandfather's solution to everything. Aiden leaned against the counter, studying them. Your marriage traditions. When you marry outside your species, what happens to your status? Selen's eyes widened slightly. We become part of the husband's family. We lose our political influence in the Shiani court. Convenient. Aiden noted. Your grandfather gets you off-world and out of trouble, and all it costs him is 3 granddaughters he probably wasn't very attached to anyway. You know nothing of our family, Tuan snapped, but there was hurt beneath her anger. I know enough, Aiden replied, his voice softening unexpectedly. I know what it's like to be expendable. A moment of silence fell over the apartment, broken only by the distant sounds of the city outside. So what happens now? Nora finally asked. We're trapped in this apartment with a man who can apparently take down military drones with a stick, while one of the most powerful organizations in the galaxy wants us all dead. Aiden moved to the window, peering out at the darkening sky. Now we figure out how to survive the night, because trust me, princesses. He turned back to them, his eyes reflecting an unnatural gleam in the low light that was just the welcome party. The real trouble hasn't even started yet. As if on cue, the entire building shuddered as a distant explosion lit up the skyline. The lights in the apartment flickered, then died completely. And here they come, Aiden muttered, reaching for his cane. In the sudden darkness, the 3 silver-haired women moved closer together, their glowing skin providing the only illumination. Stay behind me, Aiden ordered, his voice changing subtly, deeper, more commanding. And whatever happens next, remember you married into this for better or worse. The princesses exchanged glances in the darkness. What had seemed like a punishment, being married off to a seemingly ordinary human, was rapidly transforming into something far more complex and dangerous. The explosion had knocked out power to the entire block. Aiden navigated through the darkness with surprising ease, his silhouette barely visible against the emergency lights that flickered in the hallway. Stay close, he instructed the princesses, his voice low but commanding. Tu Yen scoffed. Where exactly are we going? Your entire dwelling is compromised and you've been digitally erased, Selen added, her analytical mind already processing their limited options. We can't access transportation, can't purchase supplies. We don't need to, Aiden replied, stopping at a door 3 units down from his apartment. He rapped his knuckles against the metal surface in a specific pattern. The door slid open, immediately revealing a petite woman with striking features. She couldn't have been more than 5 feet tall, but her presence somehow filled the doorway. Her eyes widened at the sight of Aiden. Sir, she exclaimed, immediately dropping into a half bow. I wasn't expecting you to. She paused, noticing the 3 silver-haired alien women behind him. Oh, Mira, Aiden said casually, as if they weren't in the middle of a crisis. We need shelter and food. My place is a bit compromised at the moment. Mira stepped aside without hesitation. Of course, sir, please all of you come in. The princesses exchanged wary glances but followed Aiden inside. Mira's apartment was surprisingly spacious, minimalist in design but with state-of-the-art technology visible throughout. Sir, Nora whispered to Aiden, arching an eyebrow. Aiden ignored the question, turning to Mira. They've blocked my access codes. Full digital eraser protocol. Mira's eyes narrowed. That's extreme. Who did you anger this time? Apparently the order of resets, he replied, dropping into a comfortable chair as if he owned the place. Mira's composure faltered for a split second. I see, and these are my wives, Aiden said with a hint of irony. It's been an eventful day. I'll prepare food, Mira said, recovering quickly. She moved toward her kitchen area, her movements efficient and precise. Will you be requiring anything else, sir? Just some peace and quiet for now. I'll handle the digital blockade later. Once Mira had moved out of earshot, Tu Yen leaned in. Who is she? Her voice dripped with suspicion. A neighbor, Aiden replied simply. A neighbor who calls you sir and jumps to attention when you knock, Selen observed, curious. Aiden leaned back, stretching his arms above his head. What can I say? I'm a respected member of the community. Nora laughed, the sound like chiming crystal. You're something, Earthman, but not what you appear to be. Few of us are, Aiden countered, his eyes meeting hers. Later that night they returned to Aiden's apartment. The power had been restored, though most systems remained offline due to his digital erasure. With Mira's help they'd secured enough supplies to last them several days. Home sweet home, Aiden muttered, dropping their provisions on the kitchen counter, or what's left of it. The apartment had been partially damaged in the attack but remained habitable. Scorch marks decorated one wall, on the balcony door hung at an odd angle. How long do we have before they return? Selen asked, already examining the apartment's weaknesses. A few hours at least, Aiden replied. They'll regroup, analyze what went wrong with their first attempt, and then they'll come with greater force, Tuan concluded. Grimly, most likely. Nora drifted through the apartment trailing her. Fingers along various surfaces, so this is how humans live. Quaint. What did you expect? A palace? Aiden asked, removing his leather jacket and hanging it by the door. Something less primitive, she admitted, though I suppose it has a certain charm. As night deepened, the question of sleeping arrangements became unavoidable. I'll take the couch, he offered already. Gathering a blanket. Nonsense, Nora said, her voice dropping to a seductive purr. We're married now, aren't we? Surely there's room for all of us. Tu Yen rolled her eyes. Always the diplomat, sister. I'm simply being practical, Nora defended, though her sly smile suggested otherwise. I'll stand watch, Tuan declared. Someone should remain alert. Suit yourself, Aiden shrugged, retreating to his bedroom. The following days established an uneasy routine. The princesses, accustomed to lives of luxury and service, struggled to adapt to their new circumstances. Aiden, for his part, seemed almost amused by their difficulties. On the third morning, Selen discovered an antique device in a storage closet. Curious, she activated it. Without warning, the massage automaton, a relic from at least 30 years prior, whirred to life, its mechanical arms extending toward her. What is this primitive? She began before the device embraced her. Its programmed routines initiating wife signature detected, the machine announced in a tiny voice, beginning relaxation protocol. Selen yelped as the massager began working on her shoulders. Aiden, get this thing off me. Aiden appeared in the doorway, coffee cup in hand, and leaned against the frame. I see you found Edgar. Selen gasped as the machine hit a particularly tense spot. My massage bot wedding gift from an ex. His mouth quirked in amusement. Seems to like you. Make it stop. I don't know, you look like you're enjoying it, he teased, making no move to help. The massager continued its work, its mechanical hands surprisingly dexterous despite herself. Selen felt her resistance fading as the tension in her muscles dissolved. Oh, she sighed, her silver eyes half closing. That's actually quite pleasant. Aiden watched her for a moment longer, his expression unreadable, before quietly retreating. That evening, Nora surprised everyone by preparing dinner, not using the food synthesizer, which remained offline due to Aiden's digital eraser, but actually cooking with raw ingredients she'd somehow procured. What is this, Tuan demanded, eyeing the steaming plates with suspicion. Food, Nora replied simply, arranging candles around the table. Real food prepared by hand, an ancient art form on our world, and apparently here as well. Aiden stared at the spread with genuine surprise. Where did you learn to cook? Nora smiled mysteriously. There's much you don't know about us, Earthman. The meal was served by candlelight, creating an intimacy none of them had anticipated. Nora had dressed for the occasion as well, her gown cut low enough to reveal the luminescent patterns that swirled across her violet skin. This is Aiden began tasting the unfamiliar dish. Delicious, Selen finished for him, equally surprised. Tuan grudgingly nodded her agreement. A small talent, Nora demurred, though her eyes shone with pleasure at their reaction. On our world, preparing food by hand is considered a lost art, something only scholars and historians bother with. Why did you bother? Aiden asked directly. Nora's eyes met his across the flickering candlelight. Perhaps I wanted to show that not everything old is obsolete. The tension in the room shifted, becoming something else entirely. Later that night, Aiden awoke to find Tu Yen sleeping in his bed. Unlike her sister, she made no pretense about it.